G'day, mate. And how the bloody hell are ya? Welcome to In the Back of My Head podcast, episode 73. It's a creative journal, semi-weekly, where I discuss about whatever's in the back of my head rattling around, try and make some sense of the static, try and set myself on the straight and narrow. And if you get anything out of it, bloody brilliant. And if you don't worry about it. It might help you make some sense of some noise in your mind. Or it might not. It might just be more endless background radiation of the internet. Either way, let's bloody get going. I tried to record this episode a few weeks ago before the holiday period, and it did not go very well at all. Kept getting extremely frustrated with myself. Very hot. Very bothered. My head today is also kind of throbbing, so we'll see how we go. But both that day, when I tried to record the first time, and today, both times in the previous evenings I had gone to send a message on Instagram to somebody, or perhaps just respond to somebody, and Instagram hit me with a little notification, a little question, a little query, said, "Hey mate, whoa, hey there buddy, didn't you realize it's 10:30 at night? Maybe try scheduling that post. Maybe try scheduling that message. Maybe leave them alone. Leave them alone, would you please, mate?" And now, fuck Instagram. Obviously, fuck Instagram. Fuck all of these attention-seeking platforms that are built upon advertising and built upon, well, yes, our attention in an addictive manner. It definitely feels like an overcorrect. It definitely feels like they got told off probably by the EU. EU's pretty on top of that shit. They keep telling Instagram to sort their shit out. They keep telling lots of things to sort their shit out. And then they were like, okay, maybe we'll put this little thing in. Just as we can now set timers on our phones for certain apps, usually Instagram, that says, if I use this for more than 10 minutes in one go, fucking hit me with that notification, hit me with that timer bell, please. Let me know that I go get off it. But this one felt a little bit different. And I like it. I like it a lot. This is a great feature. This is a fantastic move. And it came at a time where I've been rattling around on the topic of availability. How accessible are we at all times of the day? As another example, and something that kind of coincided at the same time, I saw an acquaintance of mine on Instagram. Bring back acquaintances. I want to refer to more people as acquaintance. Not a mate of mine. I barely know her. Seen her a couple of times here and there at poetry. But I follow her on Instagram, and then she posted something like, "Hey, to all those who I've never responded to or I take a month to respond to, I do apologize. But at the same time, 24-hour access to my being is a bit insane." And I wholeheartedly agree. The reason I'm talking about this is because it's something that I've been actively trying to do is disconnect as much as I can from my phone and just from contact with the world. Primarily in the pursuit of focus on art, but also speed at which life goes forward. I feel like this is all going to sound and be overly dramatic and silly. Perhaps flippant. I'm speaking only for myself with all this, but I feel like it's something that I know mates of mine, or acquaintances of mine, mates of mine, feel as well. A certain level of bombardment from their phones, obviously, due to notifications, but also a real sense of like guilt of that I must be responding to things quickly. Now, I'd say I hit a fever pitch of creativity and community building over the past 3-4 years, 5 years perhaps. And when I started to think about that, it brought me back to COVID. With COVID, we were living on our phones, we were living on our computers, we were living on the internet, which was a beautiful thing, a terrible thing, but a beautiful thing. Many communities were born, many died as well, but it was an opportunity to focus on creativity and talk to lots of people about creativity in a very intimate space, and many of us barely did anything else besides sit in front of a computer and live on Discord servers, live on Zoom chats, live on forums, live on what have you. And I certainly did. Not a day went by that I wasn't like immediately on in terms of communication. I was in the Vibe Union Discord. This was way back when the Vibe Union Discord, my little creative collective, was like actively producing work. And so we were talking about tracks we were working on, events we wanted to put on when we were allowed to, all those kind of things. And we got a lot done as a collective, but I think I also recognized that my anxiety of being constantly plugged in was just this steady, again, kind of background radiation to my mental state. And my creative collective Vibe Union currently is trying to slow down on a lot of things, a lot of events that we're running. And so really we're only doing poetry nights and publishing poetry books. Very manageable. And I was thinking about it in terms of just workload, hours spent actually doing the work side of things. And it never really occurred to me until maybe in the past 3 months that it's also the constant need to be in contact with everybody involved, which is kind of cool. It's a kind of a cool thing that we can do that we have this ability to do it. It makes remote organization very, very good, very easy. But then at the same time, I was realizing how often I would just be thrown off whatever I was doing by a message, by an email, anything like that. And I'm sure you're the same. I'm sure we're all the same. There's been a lot of talk over the past few years, I feel, of disconnecting from social media, disconnecting from work, the right to disconnect. And I thought that was an interesting one, the right to disconnect from work. That's very important, the right to disconnect from work. It's something that should not be demanding your attention when you get home and you just try and chill out. You're just trying to be in a state of calm, a state of stillness. I feel that also needs to be applied to all forms of communication. Maybe it's the age of 30, but I feel like I see it in everybody. I'm jumping around a lot because I've been thinking about this for months now. And so my mind is very scattered around it, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I actually think about it, what I actually feel about it. But I'm definitely feeling that there is a sense of guilt that I would like to try and get away from when it comes to just radio silence. Which is funny because I post a lot. I post a lot on social media, so it looks like I'm really quite present, I feel. It feels like I'm here, available to be talked to. This is all a little facetious, but it's also it's all real. I'm just I'm trying to work out kind of where I'm at with it, because things like social media for me are just like this little, I'm putting this out just as a gallery. It's a folio. It's just my work. It's just the stuff that I put out there. And it's also me personally, but it is it's a different version of me than I actually am, obviously. And so I'm really trying to spend days sometimes where I'm just like, I see the notification pop up of a message and I swipe it away. No. I'm not ready yet. I'm off in my own little world, and it's a privilege to be off in my own little world, no doubt. But I'm going to use that privilege, if I've got it. I'm going to use this very fortunate life that I live And it runs in the family. My family is extremely unreachable. But we're not unreachable for certain things, and I can see why it comes across as maybe rude at times. If you throw a date at me, can I book you for a gig? Do you want to do a gig? Something like that. Then I'll be like, yeah, sure, sweet, lock me in, baby, and then done. And I think to that mainly because of my brother, who gigs a lot more than me. He was a jazz musician, and he gigs all the time. And I know that, yeah, if people are looking to him to book him, different tale. But the number of times I've messaged him, just be like, hey mate, here's a thing that I thought you might like, or hey, do you want to catch up for a beer? It could be days, it could be weeks, it could be no response at all. And then when we catch up, like, g'day mate, how are you? Oh, it's good to see you. Anyway, fucking next time, eh? And my dad doesn't even have a bloody mobile phone, or he does, but it's sat charging for the past 10 years. There's no way of contacting him, which makes me nervous, when you've got an older parent who has no way of being contacted when they leave the house. But at the same time, his life, so be it. But he once said to me, I've never received a phone call that couldn't wait until I get home. And that kind of frustrated me at the time, because I was like, I'm trying to organize a thing and I haven't heard from you in a few days. And he's like, well, I went to a mate's place and we got drunk and we hung out for a little while, so sorry. And now I'm home, and now I'm responding to your phone call. I'm like, yeah, all right. You know what? Yeah. It was allowed to wait. It wasn't urgent. But the main thing is just that sense of calm and that sense of focus. I keep telling myself that I want to slow down, I want to do fewer things. And I realize I don't want to do fewer things, I actually want to do a lot more. That's actually been the goal, obviously. But I kept saying, I want Vibe Union to wind down. I want to do fewer stuff. And I realized I don't want to do less stuff. I actually just want a one-track mind. I want one thing on my mind at a time. I want to become obsessed. I want to become completely isolated in creativity. I want to become completely taken over and self-indulgent. And again, it's a bloody privilege that I get to hang out in this room and just make shit. But, well, that's how my brain's working. It's a lifestyle that makes sense to me, to just be taking it slow, make a coffee in the morning, watch something on TV, and then sit down, just write and create, hang out, go to work a couple of times a week, make a little bit of money. Ideally wouldn't have to do that part, but I'm trying to get better at just remembering, you go to your job so you can do this, mate. And then when the time is right, I will sit down and I will answer some emails and I'll respond to some messages. And then I'm off again. That space to be alone, that space to be just completely immersed in solitude. I really enjoy the solitude. Realistically, I'm quite a bit of a hermit. It takes so much to go out to poetry nights, go out to gigs, go out to yada yada, go out to parties and chat with the people and hang out with people, and I love those times. But then those times zap the energy. Call yourself an introvert, what have you, anything, any term that makes sense to you. And so then when you get home, yeah, it makes sense. But it's funny because I feel like I've been very annoyed at people who do the same to me, but I'm kind of coming to terms with it a bit more. I've got mates, I've got some of my best mates. I would say some of the mates who I've known the longest, who we keep coming back and having a beer, and this is bloody great, lovely conversation every time. We have such a good time. But we won't chat for months. And if we do message, it could be a week before you get a response. And it's very funny to me. It's a beautiful thing, I think, just getting to, if it suits your personality as well. This is all, again, totally just about how my brain works. Is that, God, I love these times. God, I love just disconnecting from the world and sitting here making stuff. That's a very good time. And then I know other people who thrive in like online communities, who thrive in bustling workplaces, who thrive in all kinds of different situations. Also really good. Also really good. But I feel like just as the right to disconnect movement has come about as a response to workplaces demanding your attention and availability 24/7. So too does social media and all these other means of communication that we have. Not to be flippant, but there was once upon a time when you would have to travel to go see someone or write to someone. You'd have to write a letter. The letter might never arrive. It's pretty bonkers that we can talk to anyone and everyone all at the same time on so many different platforms. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It has brought about wondrous changes in the way that we interact with other humans, the way that we organize. I think we're in the process of these enormous cultural shifts constantly as we move towards a brighter future, mainly because we can organize so easily. I mean, like, protests and political ideology and things like that can spread so quickly. That's both dangerous and also great. But then at the same time, the social media is just so demanding of your attention 24/7. And it's an onslaught. There was a huge desire in people during COVID to like aim for that slower, calmer lifestyle. To be quite romantic about it, absolutely. To be very romantic about it. To just do a little bit of work, make a sourdough starter, walk the dog. Oh, the day's gone. Oh no. Well, on to the next day. Nice and easy, nice and simple. I'm both like very much excited for all of human progression and technology, for the capabilities of the human brain. And at the same time, I am also very much a romantic in the sense of humans were only meant to know so many people. We're supposed to just be hanging down at the pub, having a pint, being poets, being musicians, building a couple of houses, baking some bread, working some metal, just chilling out. Nice, simple lifestyles. God, this is all so wank and dramatic. But I've got a little list of people here that I think to when I make these episodes. And I know some of them, these are all my mates, and I know some of them have the same feeling. That these things are just stressing us the fuck out. Not just stressing us out. I guess it's just balance. It's just balance. So what the fuck did any of that mean? Did any of that make any sense? I'll see you at the pub, mate.